In this video, I'll talk about how to hold a pick. The first question is, why should you use a pick? Well, the pick provides you with a volume advantage over just using your fingers. Especially if you don't have fingernails that are set up for finger picking, a pick is going to give you a lot more volume. And you're going to have a bunch of tones that you can select by selecting a different type of pick. For example, this is a thick pick, but if I choose a thin pick or some other type of pick, I can get a different tone to my playing. The other reason why you should use a pick is it's just another skill for you as a guitar player. You don't want to be stuck just using exclusively your fingers, or for that matter, exclusively a pick. You should be able to do both, make yourself a well-rounded guitarist in your playing. Here's a pick that I drew some lines on to show where my fingers go. On this side we have T for thumb. On the other side we have I for index finger. So these lines represent where my fingers go. So you could actually see through this pick, you can see the index finger line right there. So my index finger goes like this, basically. And my thumb is like this when I'm holding the pick. And that's typically how it looks. I traced this right when I was playing so that you could see what it looks like to hold the pick. So once again, if I take my fingers away, there's the thumb, crosses over like that, and the index finger side, you can see my index finger basically covers a lot of the pick. The basic hand position for using a pick is to put two fingers as an anchor on the body of the guitar. This is a good beginner's position to learn. By touching two fingers against the body of the guitar, it gives you a frame of reference where your hand is, so you can develop some muscle memory and locate each string. The reason why I recommend using a two-finger anchored method is because it leaves your middle finger open to do some extra picking. So for example, if I pick a chord here, I can pick two notes at the same time. One note is played with the pick, and the other note is played with my middle finger. So that might seem like a little advanced technique when you're just a beginner, but if you get used to just anchoring all three of those fingers down, you're not going to have that option available to you. It's going to take a lot more practice to get that middle finger off of the body of the guitar and up to the strings where it can be used. Sometimes beginning guitarists have the habit of over gripping their pick, making a really tight grip on the pick because they feel like it's going to slip out of your fingers when you're playing. And the fact is, the pick often does slip when you're playing. I mean, your fingers get hot and sweaty sometimes if you're playing for a while, and the pick is going to move around a lot. What you need to develop and work on is resetting the pick position in your fingers. So for example, if you're playing a song and you feel your pick start to move in your fingers, you want to get some technique where you can get it back into its proper position again without having to stop and kind of like re-pick up the pick. You need to be able to do that on the fly. And unfortunately, the only way that you learn that is through hours and hours of experience of playing and having that pick slip out on you and being able to manipulate your fingers to move it back in position. So the technique you want to avoid is to over grip the pick. Okay? It's not the answer to getting that pick stable in your fingers. You definitely want to have it loose when you're holding it. You don't want to create any tension. If you start squeezing that too hard, you're going to create tensions up your fingertips, through your wrist, and it's going to affect your playing in a negative way. Really loose grip, but just firm enough so that the pick isn't flopping around like crazy, obviously. But you'll see through time, after you play for a while, that the pick, once it moves around in your fingers, you're going to be able to reset that pick position in the middle of your playing, no problem, but it does take experience. One unorthodox way of holding a pick is between the thumb and middle finger, and I would not recommend trying this method. I know some people use this and have success with it, but there's a couple reasons why I wouldn't use it. Number one, it's pretty awkward. It might feel good at first to use this for some guitarists, but I guarantee you if you use thumb and index finger, it's going to feel a lot better in the long run. This way also, if you use your thumb and middle finger, it takes your index finger out of the equation. If you're just using your thumb and middle finger to play the guitar, here, your index finger has nothing to do. So if you want to grab extra notes, you're going to be stuck with just your pinky and ring fingers left to be able to do that. And your index finger isn't going to be able to help you in any way. Another technique that you can work on once you get used to picking is a form of picking where you're not using an anchored finger like that. So you pick your anchored finger and just roll it up into a nice fist shape like that. So it's a more aesthetic way of playing. It doesn't necessarily give you any more value in your technique, but it makes your technique look better because your hand is in a nice tighter form.